Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching, always encouraging your personal self-reliance in your life and your career. If you'll develop a work ethic, a marketable skill, chase it with a solid work ethic, go the extra mile, develop some people skills, be a team player, your life and career will open up in ways that will absolutely astound you. I'm really, really happy to have a gentleman here that also wrestled at SUNY Oswego. I was there a couple decades before he was, but anyway, he's going to tell us about his company. Also going to tell us about this amazing offer he's put in to assist Oswego State Wrestling because of the COVID situation. So they've kind of been out of the arena here for about 18 months or so, maybe more now. So Shane Facteau, welcome, and tell us about your story here a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, thanks for having me. So as we've discussed, or as some of your people will know, I was a wrestler at Oswego, just like you were. A graduate. I grew up in the Adirondacks of upstate New York. I went to SUNY Oswego in 1991 to 1995. I was a 4-year member of the wrestling team there. And my professional life, I'm the chief operating officer of what's known as the Ironman Group, we're the largest producer of endurance sporting events in the world. Our most famous brand is the Ironman triathlon, which a lot of people know, the big race that's in Hawaii on an annual basis. And, as you know, and you alluded to, wrestling's taken a bit of a beating. Sports in general, particularly in the Northeast, have had a really hard time with the COVID situation. I'm lucky enough to live in Florida. Generally, sports are running and have been running down here at the high school and collegiate level, but that hasn't been the case everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, with the big fundraiser that the school is doing as part of, I think it's the 160th anniversary actually of the school. They're doing a 2-day fundraiser at the end of the week. And really one of our more famous alumni offered 50 grand if there's a certain number of donors. I think it's like 861 donors in the window. And I've been talking to Mike Howard, who's the coach now, and then Jim obviously was your coach, his father before that. And they had some needs and they needed some mats. And I'm like, yeah, and I've always donated money and I've done pretty well with Ironman. We've had, real good success and I've been really fortunate. So I had told him, hey, I think I'll just buy the mat for you and call it a day. Well, over the weekend, I'm like, you know what, maybe we should take this and maybe push it a little more. We have a very strong group of people who support the program, as you know, more than 500 people who are regular supporters, whether economically or just are in touch between the reunions and former wrestlers and family. So I said, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is a little bit, and I'll put up 25 grand. If the guys in the alumni will match it, we can give the same amount of money that Roker is going to give, which is 50 grand. So I thought that was just a unique way to, give back to the school, give back to the program, help them. I mean, the kids have really had to struggle, right? They haven't been able to train. They haven't been able to wrestle. They haven't been able to do anything. And I think to give them a little boost here and let them have some new stuff and really get going as we go into the 21-22 season would be great.
Sure. No, that's fantastic. And ironically, I got the text from Michael last night, who I've known ever since he was pretty much a young boy and everything. We always joke back and forth, he and I. But yeah, he's done a great job continuing.
I got the other end of the experience where Jim was a terrorist in the room, even in his 60s when I was there, and he was just beating on us. I still remember that as a young kid. I'm like, who is this old guy just ripping on us young guys?
He's incredible, that's for sure. Well, when you're a 3-time All-American, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, and then you're alternate on the 56 Olympic team, this guy, he's like Superman, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Howards have done a lot, obviously individually for you and I. Now, and there's literally hundreds of men of all shapes and sizes scattered all over the country. And I've heard a million different stories about the things they've done. I know personally, Mike's always been there for me and has been really helpful to me on a variety of levels, personal, professional, when I was on the mat, when I wasn't. And I know Jim has the same story. So I personally am really happy to help the program. There's a bunch of, I'm from what's called the North Country, which is anything north of Syracuse or north of Albany. And there's a lot of kids, those are really rural, small communities. But there's a lot of kids who've come through the program, a lot of successful kids. I actually got a note last night from one up there who was an All-American in 08. His name's John Spinner. He was a lightweight doing really well in financial services in North Carolina. And he just sent me a note. I remember him wrestling in high school because I was coaching in the area at the time. And he sent me a note saying, hey, I'm looking to get involved here and I'm willing to backstop any amount that's left over. So, I think it's obviously there's a lot of interest and a lot of people who are willing to support the program.
Sure. No, that's super. And as I said, I got a note from Michael last night, and I said, let's, because I've got this YouTube channel, Playing It Forward Coaching. I've reached out. It's done very, very well. And I just thought, well, if I can help you leverage your message, and I'm going to put the link up there on the Oswego alumni group, just so we can, further spread the word here and everything. So tell us a little bit about the Ironman, Shane. I told you before, we kind of like to, bump and promote what you guys are doing there. Give our listeners a little bit of a background on that.
Yeah. So the company is the Ironman Group. We put on endurance sporting events. Think of where Ironman triathlon is our biggest brand, 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and a marathon, all run in succession. It's considered the hardest single day endurance event in the world. Mm-hmm. We have 40 events of that type around the world in all kinds of locations. Hawaii is our world championship, the most famous. But we have a ton of events of all kinds. We have cycling and mountain biking now and running. Like we have over 250 events around the world in 50 plus countries. There's been a few times, Tim, where I'm sitting in a car driving somewhere or talking to someone and I'm like, how the hell did I end up here as I sit in China or Singapore? But a lot of that has to do with wrestling. Again, a lot of the skills and the grit and the endurance and the toughness and just, the ability to work hard and think through intricate, interesting problems, a lot of the skills. I always joke around, and this isn't, against chemistry, but I couldn't tell you who my chemistry professor was ever, but I still talk to both my high school and my college wrestling coach. Sure, you know what I mean? Sure. And I think that's really indicative, and that's many sports, but certainly in wrestling, I think the bonds and the lessons you learn are pretty appropriate going through life and career. And I effectively grew up in the company. I started working at 25 years old. I'm in my late 40s now. I'm the chief operating officer, one of the top executives in the company. I went to SUNY Oswego. I'm surrounded by, and I have people who work for me who went to, Penn or have law degrees. I mean, all of these things. And a lot of my ability to do the position I'm doing with the leadership is based on the skills I learned through the sport.
Sure. And with this generous, donation you're looking at to get matched and everything, I know you talked about a wrestling mat and everything. What else have you and Michael talked about, or have you not yet? I guess it's
it's up to him. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we have a pretty good booster club with the program, as you know, and they've done a pretty good job over the years. But to put a real chunk of money at his disposal at a time where it's been tough on the kids, they got to recruit and they got to get assistants and they need new mats. The practice mats are old, and I just think it's a good opportunity for us to pump a real infusion of cash in and let him do what he needs to do to continue to build the program and support the kids. To the kids' credit, he's got 30 kids, 28 kids, whatever. And those guys hung in there, as Oswego, this isn't Penn, right? These aren't, kids going to get those huge degrees. There's kids doing great, but a lot of them are there to wrestle, and that's the drive to get their degree. So to miss a year is a pretty big deal. And to have that many kids still hang in there, I think is really, really a credit to Mike and the program.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree, Shane. Now, if, and we're going to put this on there and everything, but if people want to, get into the link or whatever, where should they go to, contribute as far as this is concerned?
Yeah. So the SUNY Oswego website has, I believe it's called Oswego Connect is what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I know you're going to put the link up, but they'll be running. I believe it's 1,861 minutes to be precise. It's between like Thursday morning and Friday afternoon. Right. And this is the normal process. And you just go in and you make a donation via credit card or PayPal or all the various payment methods, and you put it toward wrestling. You can scroll through and you pick wrestling specifically, and whatever amount is given during that period up to 25,000, I'll match.
Yeah, and the 1,861 minutes simulates the 1861 when kind of Oswego was founded.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where, Al is doing the 861 donors to get the 50 grand. I thought it would be cool to match the amount of money that he's willing to give and give it all to the wrestling program. I think it's a nice gesture and a good way to get a little publicity for the program within the school too.
Sure, sure. Any last thoughts, Shane, as far as that you'd want to share with us here and everything, life lessons or anything along those lines? Feel free, please.
Yeah, I mean, the wrestling is like I'm 48 years old. I haven't set foot on a competitive mat in 25 years, right? I've coached and I've donated, but it's funny. I can hear it in your voice. I still tell everyone I'm a wrestler. That's a little weird to think about. I've lived more of my life, since I've competed than when I last competed. Right. But it's been unbelievably valuable to me globally. Like when I go around the world, I sat with a bunch of Russians. I was thinking of this meeting this morning after you and I talked. They're all Sambo guys and like these super crazy, like former military police guys who love Ironman and they want to put a race. And I'm sitting with them. I tell them I'm a wrestler. Meeting changes immediately, right?
Yeah.
It's just this stuff has been really valuable to me. And I think it's honestly individual combat sports or something I think that it's really hard to overstate how the skills and the lessons that you can learn from that are and translate in the life. And then I would just say to any of our alumni, we have a bunch of generations. We go all the way back, I think, into the 50s and early 60s with guys who are still around.
Yeah.
I just urge you, if you give $25 on an annual basis, do 50. If you don't give all the time, you give every other year, use this as an opportunity to dig into your pocket and give a little more. Cause I think the program has been unbelievably valuable to me, to you, to a lot of people we know and care a lot about, including the Howards. And I just think it's a great opportunity to do something really special for the school and for the program.
Yeah, very, very well said, Shane. And, I know there's a lot of us that are looking forward to, making these donation and everything. And appreciate your time very, very much. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. And stick around for a minute or two after we get done with this, okay?
Cool.